It was a quiet diner on the edge of a lonely highway, the kind of place where neon lights flickered against dusty windows and the hum of an old jukebox fought with the silence of the night. Truckers came and went, boots heavy on the floor, voices low and tired. The air smelled of coffee and fried bacon, a comfort for men who spent too many hours alone on the road. Among the waitresses moving between tables was Sarah. She was soft-spoken, always polite, her hair pulled back in a simple braid, her uniform neat but plain. She blended into the background, serving coffee, clearing plates, never raising her voice. Nobody gave her a second look. She seemed ordinary, almost invisible. But ordinary was not the truth she carried. That night, 3 strangers walked in, rough-looking men with leather jackets and restless eyes. They laughed too loudly, slammed their hands on tables, and demanded attention, like wolves testing their territory. Customers shrank back, but Sarah simply continued her work, her eyes lowered, her steps steady. She placed coffee before them, ignoring their crude jokes and sharp whistles. One of them leaned closer, his grin crooked, his voice mocking. "You're too quiet, sweetheart. What's your story?" Sarah didn't answer. She just walked away, her back straight, her silence unbroken. The man didn't like being ignored. He slammed his fist on the counter, causing the cups to rattle. The diner froze. Every eye turned toward them. Sarah looked up at him for the first time, her gaze calm, her expression unreadable. She whispered just one line. "You don't want to know my story." The man laughed. His pride stung. He reached across the counter and grabbed her wrist, tight enough to make her skin redden. Gasps filled the room. But Sarah did not flinch. She stood still, her eyes locked on his. And then something happened that no one in that diner expected. With one swift movement, controlled and precise, she twisted her wrist free and pinned his arm against the counter before he could even blink. The man cried out in shock, his bravado crumbling as quickly as it had risen. The diner went silent. Everyone stared at the woman they had overlooked for so long. Sarah let him go and stepped back, her breath steady, her hands calm. It wasn't anger that moved her. It was discipline. She turned away, as if nothing had happened, but the silence hung heavy. One of the men cursed and moved toward her, ready to strike. But before he could raise his hand, another customer stood up, an old veteran who had been sipping coffee in the corner. His voice was low but firm. "Don't try her, son. She's not who you think she is." The stranger froze, confused. Everyone turned toward the veteran, waiting for an explanation. He looked at Sarah, his eyes soft with recognition. Slowly, he lifted his sleeve, revealing a faded military tattoo on his arm. Then he nodded toward Sarah. "I know that look. I've seen it before. She's one of us." Murmurs filled the diner. People looked at Sarah differently now, not as a quiet waitress, but as someone carrying a past far greater than anyone imagined. The man who had grabbed her wrist stumbled back, his confidence gone, his face pale. Sarah's secret was out. She wasn't just a waitress. She was a soldier, a Marine who had seen battlefields far from home, who carried scars no one could see. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was survival. The men didn't stay long. They left quickly, muttering under their breath, unable to meet her eyes. And the diner slowly returned to life. But nothing felt the same. Customers who once overlooked her now whispered with respect. Some even thanked her quietly, though she said nothing in return. Sarah didn't want attention. She didn't want praise. She just wanted peace. But that night had pulled her past into the light, and people finally understood the strength she had carried all along. In the weeks that followed, word of the incident spread across town. People who had never spoken to her before now smiled when she passed. Strangers left bigger tips, not out of pity, but respect. Some asked her about her service, but she rarely answered. Her eyes held memories too heavy for words. Her nights were still filled with restless dreams, her mornings with quiet resolve. But she continued to work, continued to serve coffee with the same gentle smile, because she knew kindness mattered more than recognition. What no one knew was the private battles she still fought. Her mind carried images of friends lost in combat, echoes of gunfire in the dark, faces she could never forget. Yet, even in her pain, she chose to stand tall, to carry herself with dignity, to show compassion to those around her. That was her real strength, not what she had done in war, but what she continued to do in peace. She was proof that the quietest people often carry the loudest stories. The three men never returned to that diner. Perhaps they were ashamed, perhaps afraid. But the lesson they left behind remained. Those who had witnessed the moment spoke of it often, passing the story like a legend of hidden strength. Sarah herself never spoke of it again. She didn't need to. The truth was written in the way she carried herself, in the calm of her eyes, in the silence that held more power than any shout. Years later, when the diner closed and memories faded, Sarah's story lived on. People remembered her not just as the woman behind the counter, but as the Marine who had taught them a lesson they would never forget. That strength isn't about noise or violence, it's about quiet resilience. It's about standing tall even when no one is watching. If this story touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these powerful stories alive. Drop a comment below. Tell us what part of Sarah's journey moved you most. Your words might inspire someone else. And remember, the strongest people are often the ones who carry battles we'll never see, yet still choose to live with kindness, dignity, and grace.